Hey guys, Dexy back with another Exodus video. In a galaxy filled to the brim with advanced constructs, genetically engineered bioweapons, creatures out of your nightmares, spiders with human levels of intelligence, and incredibly technologically advanced species, humans stand as some of the least threatening beings out there. As a traveler, it's your job to brave the unknown and at times fight these dangers. So in this video, I'll be using the lore and trusty Exodus RPG handbook to examine and ultimately rank the biggest threats you'll be facing. Spoiler, human enemies are last on this list. Note, I will be referencing the tabletop RPG as it gives us a good idea of the power level of enemies in the game. Without the video game being released, we need this to compare experience gained, damage output, armor, and health, which will give us a good idea of how threatening things can be. First, we'll run through the Celestials, then Changelings, then Awakened Animals, Constructs, Fauna, and finally humans. If you want more detailed lore on each, let me know, but this video is focused on simply their danger to you. Like mentioned, this galaxy is filled with killing machines straight out of your nightmares, giant awakened animals and Terminator-style robots. However, even here, intelligence is still the most deadly trait. In this area, none can match the Celestials. Humans were the apex predator on Earth, so it goes without saying that humans with 40,000 years of technological advancements, genetic engineering, and evolution would be the apex in this galaxy. Nothing says apex like the Imperial Knights. These are the right hands of the Crown Dominion. Each royal house has only a small company of loyal knights. These Celestials are handpicked for their exceptional physical ability, intelligence, and ferocity in battle, and are the most elite soldiers in their army. They utilize highly advanced armored suits with arc cannons and twin railguns. They are shielded and highly resistant to all damage. These Imperial Knights are, quite frankly, some of the most powerful threats a human can face. Impossible to beat in a fair fight. The only way a human can stand any chance is to fight dirty, utilizing more than their weapons, since the knights adhere to strict rules of engagement, a code of honor of sorts. On the tabletop, the Imperial Knights have a ridiculous health pool, armor that mitigates all but the strongest attacks, an AC of 21 for those who understand Dungeons and Dragons. They're resistant to cold, electrical, heat, and radiation, are immune to hard vacuum, and attack 3 times with weapons that are ridiculous on their own. Example, one railgun shot has you roll 3 d10 dice and +4 onto the result for a 7 to 34 damage hit. For comparison, a human NPC has 11 HP, so your basic humans will be drastically overkilled. Even a tanky awakened bear has only 76 HP, but I'll try not to in the future reference numbers so much. I just want to get across that this is a boss level threat, and it's highly unlikely you'll face these unless you gain the attention of the Crown Dominion by advancing humanity's tech recklessly. It's entirely possible a lone knight can wipe an entire party without taking any damage, but they aren't usually alone. They utilize companies of genetically enhanced awakened and highly advanced military constructs to further bolster their power. We'll go through the advanced military constructs soon and some of the other awakened animals, but I do want to make special mention of the awakened Imperial Lion. This deserves to be classed under Celestial since they utilize so much tech, they're not really awakened anymore. The Lion is kitted out with a highly advanced combat suit. These are not as threatening as the Imperial Knight in terms of raw damage output, but Imperial Lions can pounce to close the distance quickly. They're also extremely sturdy, making them completely immune to damage under a particular amount. These are rare and highly dangerous Crown Dominion troops and are not to be underestimated. Not that you would once you take one look at these terrifying creatures. This is a boss level threat, and you better hope they're not accompanying any Imperial Knights. Diva Celestials are mysterious, wandering the galaxy as scholars and teachers to those who they feel are worthy. It's unclear if we'll face a Diva Celestial in battle, and it's highly likely we might even be able to recruit one onto our team. But ever were we to acquire the aggression of one, be cautious, as they are deadlier than they look. They can easily hack all of your electronics while attacking with swarms of nanobots, their damage output rivaling even the Imperial Knights. Of course, they're not nearly as durable, but still more durable than most anything that you will face, besides of course other Celestials and the biggest of constructs. Remember, there is a reason Celestials can unleash so many nightmarish creatures. It's because they themselves are able to dominate them. The Kaladi Celestials are reclusive and small in number with no standing army. They have, though, extremely advanced technology. The Kalidai Celestials are terrifying, able to essentially mind control your party from a distance. While not physically capable as some of the other Celestials, they are deadly because of their abilities. The Maruyama are things of nightmares, Celestials that delight in torture and pain. Their weightless base form is not all that threatening, but when they need to fight, they trigger a regeneration process which slowly transforms them into a warrior form over several months. This form is truly terrifying. Terror is what they actually use as a weapon, along with a powerful rifle and gore attacks. Maruyamas are Celestials after all, so no doubt their warriors will be extremely endgame threats. They also have assassins capable of limited invisibility and brutes capable of challenging even Imperial Knights, able to put out damage faster up close with higher HP and health regeneration, but the downside of no shields and much lower armor. What this tells me is you won't want to develop your tech far enough to get the attention of the Crown Dominion or the Maruyama, as both are seemingly impossible to fight fairly. Changelings are creatures handcrafted by Celestials through genetic engineering and modifications. This means they may be human or animal DNA in them, or maybe even both, but they are something completely different, usually made for a purpose. The Archivir are one such changeling, made to survive the roughest and most dangerous conditions, extreme heat, radiation, or worse. Their bodies slowly adapt to any environment. As you expect, facing one in combat means facing a creature much tougher and stronger than the average human, be it also much slower. They're usually radioactive, which is a problem for anyone close by, and they're also resistant to most forms of damage. This doesn't mean they're indestructible, far from it. After all, you can't adapt slowly to a bullet, and although they're tough, they don't have the tech to stand up to anything beyond a kitted out human soldier. The Gath are simple creatures bred for manual labor. They are eerily similar to humans, a reminder that the Celestials think little of them and us. The Gath do not question their masters, are loyal and childlike in their intelligence. This means they could be ordered to attack you, but fret not, though they are very strong, a power suit can more than match them and make you quicker. Being generally unequipped, they'll go down very easily. If you can take out a human, you can take out a Gath. Still, it doesn't mean you'll want to cop one of those oversized fists to the face. Now, while the Gath were very human-like, the Gand are anything but, resembling what a centaur would be if the lower half was a spider rather than a horse. These were made for one purpose: gladiatorial matches, blood sport. Fight, kill, and die. Naturally, this makes them quite deadly in single combat. They're fast, lethal, and made to react and strike before thinking. This makes any social contract with them very hard to uphold. You definitely don't want to find yourself alone against one of these. They aren't, however, bred for war. They don't tend to follow orders well, as they're unable to fight their reflexive urges. Focus fire will be able to take care of one, but maybe not before someone is leaped on and impaled by their giant scythe-like claws. The Holocene Changelings are organic databanks, made to store information by a race of Celestials lost to history. This makes them fantastic hackers. At range, they can attempt to hack your technology, which could be devastating if left unchecked. However, they're frail, slow, and can't do much up close except self-detonate for an EMP blast, killing themselves in the process. They're not made to fight, but doesn't mean they won't fight back. The Intinkasi were designed as mediators between humans and Celestials. They can perfectly imitate voices, mannerisms, and more. Most of all, they can observe and very quickly understand you as a person. This is a way for their Celestial masters to get what they want from you. In combat, you have to be wary of the fact they can perfectly imitate you or your friends, which is disorientating. However, don't expect boss level resistance. Although tough, a seasoned soldier with decent gear should be able to take one out. The Kinsect Changelings are bred to be the last line of defense for important Celestials. Organic jewelry that's coiled and ready to strike at potential threats, or at least those it deems to be a threat. They never sleep and they're always ready. Though they are extremely frail, they're something to be wary of when facing Celestials, else you could be in for a nasty surprise filled with poison. Now we arrive at the Coven. These are the Maruyama's genetically engineered shock troops, so essentially you'll be fighting these anytime you're fighting the Maruyama. They come in many different varieties. The first is the Jackal. Not intended to live a long time, they have a horrible purpose. after charging at you, clawing and chomping. If they're taken out, they will explode in a swarm of locust constructs who will start dismantling any enemy they come in contact with. Annoying and expendable, just like the Lobo. These represent the absolute bare minimum of resource expenditure on the Mariama's part, relying entirely on their claws and teeth to get the job done. Though when hurt, they can enter a bloodlust, making them faster at the cost of taking more damage. Threatening but not the worst the Mariama have to offer. The Minute Vassal serves as more psychological warfare than physical. As per the Rick and Morty episode, childlike genetically crafted beings will cause anyone to flinch.
Daddy?
Oh my god.
The Mariama seem to have designed Minute Vassals to take advantage of the fallible human instincts, though a seasoned warrior will be able to take them out before they can utilize their sharp teeth or claws. Vassals, however, are intelligent changelings improved with machine parts and beam weapons. I say intelligent, but as a cruel piece of entertainment, the Mariama crafted them to enter a bloodlust state when taking damage, slowly losing the intelligence that they rely on while also making them faster. These are tactical foot soldiers, at least at the start, able to put out notable damage, but they aren't as powerful as the Mariama themselves. Finally, we have the Welcome Warriors, named for their ability to welcome you into their body and eventually be reconstituted into another Welcome Warrior. They can put out a reasonable amount of damage, knock you prone, and then swallow you, digesting you until you die, though your friends can rescue you if they're timely. Though it won't be easy, they're the tankiest of the Mariama shock troops. Now, the Mariama will kill you in brutal ways, but the Malabracht can talk you to death. Designed by a long extinct celestial race, they avoid combat, but when they engage, it will be to prepare trigger words that will stop you in your tracks, inflict pain when spoken, or even kill you outright. Yes, in extreme cases, certain words delivered with an exacting cadence are used to disrupt the functioning of their followers' brains. It's unlikely you'll face a Malabracht in combat unless you upset them or get in the way of them performing tasks for their long-dead masters. The Monyet are caretakers of the dead. Yes, funeral home workers have been replaced by changelings in the future, as these are programmed ritualistically to care for dead in ways no human can. To me though, they're like the race of neutrals in Futurama.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Taking great pride in being non-political and non-religious. This also means you'll have no issue taking them out if you were ever to need to, though their oversized fists and chill caster can mess you up if not respected. The Ovar changelings are overprotective mother insect APCs. They are designed to carry and protect troops over dangerous terrain and even hard vacuum. They're extremely protective of their cargo to a fault. Sometimes keeping everyone safe is never letting them leave. Though they are very tough, they're not designed to be assault troops and rely simply on clawing and biting. Still, they're not to be taken lightly. The Rexana were made for manual labor, originally for construction. So they need to be more intelligent than the Gath, though not by much. They only need to know the basics of the work required, not to know how things work. The males develop into the labor force, whereas very rarely a female is born and turn into a sort of queen, much larger, deadlier in combat and more intelligent than her drones. Most attack with crude blades, but don't let your guard down. The more intelligent Rexana have taken care to maintain the weaponry and tools given to them by their celestial creators. Still, you should fear the numbers more than the individual. The Rysich changelings are what you get if you want a creature adapted to work in the most frigid of environments. Highly intelligent, but still primitive in aspects, settling their differences with fights rather than words.
I challenge you to Klaplach!
They also weed out their weak children with rituals that remind me of the movie 300. Yes, these are basically Spartan Yetis. As you'd expect, they're immune to cold. They hit very hard but go down quite easily. Just be wary, they can and will utilize modern weapons. Finally, we have the Veiled Changelings, which are the least humanoid of the bunch we've seen so far. They were designed to work in the hard vacuum of space. They can be used to work on projects outside space stations or even be kept in stasis on ships and deployed to repair them mid-battle. Kind of like poor R2-D2. As they are heavily designed for zero-G, they can't survive for long even in a single G. They'll simply be crushed and killed, though they can survive in pressurized environments with their ability to control their interior pressure. So if you run into one of these, be wary of their punches, bites, and their decompression cannon. So how will you face these creatures? Well, vast numbers of dormant Veil were scattered near resource-rich areas, at the mouths of gates, or in orbit around worlds. Ships that near them would awake the Veil, who would follow their last orders by jetting into aggressive contact with the intruder. Sometimes they might be armed, either with weapons or just cutting tools. Even a bare-handed Veil has the ability to start sabotaging a ship from the outside, so be careful when in space. Now, there are many other changelings to be found in the cluster, but it seems unlikely you'll face them in combat, like the Karens, the Lucy Forge, and the Mok Shah. Humanity has always had an affinity with the animals of their world, so naturally, it was only a matter of time until we uplifted them. Awakened animals are Earth-originated creatures uplifted with intelligence and sometimes more. This means we can communicate with the awakened, have conversations, give orders, and much more. Over time, they've integrated into our society and treated almost like humans. The awakened bear started out as being uplifted to act as mobile doctors of sorts, delivering medical aid to dangerous areas using their integrated beehives either in their gear or in their fur. These symbiotic bees have been engineered to develop medical honey suited to the injury or problem that the bear is facing. This doesn't always mean the bears are used for helpful purposes, as they are much larger and more hardy than their unawakened cousins. Many bears find themselves as mercenaries or mob bosses, and if you find yourself facing one, your options are to run and regroup, or to avoid its massive claws, its bite, and its bees, which can and will poison you given the chance, while they can also heal the bear or its allies. We see an awakened bear in action against the player here, and it seems like they will present as a mini-boss. Taking a bit of work to bring down. Of course, if awakening animals is a possibility, one of the first to be attempted would be man's best friend, the dog. However, they proved harder to awaken than the pigs that came before them. Dogs were already awakened to an extent over thousands of years of selective breeding. The result was a semi-awakened creature that seemed to mimic humanity rather than approximating it. Success came when scientists went back to the root, wolves. By uplifting wolves, these awakened are able to interact with us and other canines in a harmonious way. But there is two sides to the awakened canines, the wolf dog side and the wolf wolf side. When damaged, the wolf side can come out, making the creature more savage than before. Don't underestimate canines. Though physically frail, they can knock you to your ass and dish out some serious damage. Not to mention they're more deadly in a pack. Awakened dolphins are smart and are like celebrities in human society. They're just not very threatening in combat, especially out of water, though this depends on the mech suit they'll be piloting. The awakened frog, or the K as they're called, are bigger than normal frogs, but even more adaptable. They can leap far, bite, and spit venom. Don't expect a hard fight, but also don't drop your guard. What you'll be facing is different based on the world they've adapted to. An awakened that was made for war is the awakened insects. They get more intelligent the more of them are in close proximity with each other, like a hive mind. Individually, not sharp, but together they can tactically challenge you. This means you'll come across swarms of different bugs working together, called bug libraries. This will consist of centipedes, mantids, mosquitoes, wasps, and spiders. Truly someone's nightmare to encounter an intelligent swarm of creepy crawlies. Imagine trying to dispatch a mosquito or wasp that's smart enough to avoid your attention, or a spider that has the intent to kill you rather than just defend itself. I can't imagine these will be mini-boss level threats, but they will require different tactics than your regular enemies. Octopi were already intelligent before being awakened, but now scientists have removed their death trigger after mating, making them functionally live forever. This means they can grow to truly colossal sizes, becoming true krakens of mythology. The large ones being quite threatening in combat, being able to beat you around with their tentacles and grapple and restrain even those of large size. In their environment, they're lethal. Out of water though, they're rarely found, usually being in mech suits that allow them to survive. Pigs were the first to be uplifted, even before dogs, and now they are competing for the title of man's best friend. They are smart enough to know their food, and smart enough to do what it takes not to be. Awakened boars can be bigger and more deadly, getting to the size of small cars and using their tusks to attack. Don't expect a threat level bear, but do still be cautious. Like pigs, ravens were already highly intelligent problem solvers before being awakened. The difference is where pigs see subservience as an answer, ravens take a more proactive approach. They can't forget mistakes as they collectively pass on and share information. They live to problem solve and humans create problems. Will this mean we might have to face a almost human-sized awakened raven? Perhaps. In combat, they can use their strong beaks and talons to great effect, though it's unlikely they'll attack unless absolutely certain they have you in their trap. Awakened scavengers are grouped together. They're cats, raccoons, foxes, opossums, and several other species. Genetically, they're either sterile or not viable for mass production, so they're often found in large cities, not able to live without human help. The start of their lives being made to be simple pets and now often working in the shady underworld of society. It's not that awakened cats aren't capable, it's just that they aren't as helpful as, say, an awakened canine, especially when uplifted with intelligence. Sorry cat lovers, we all know this to be true. In combat, scavengers use their claws, stealth, and leaps. Without tech to supplement these scavengers, they'll be little threat to you. However, they have been known to use weapons like arc wielders, so be cautious. In the wild, hyenas were apex survivors, working in packs to take down even lions with ruthless efficiency. The Celestials uplifted them to enact their justice on conquered cities, acting as superpowered enforcers, dispensing justice against those who fail to follow the new laws. These creatures were uplifted with celestial tech, making them bigger than cars, and equipped with shoulder-mounted flamethrowers and adrenal injectors. Out of all the awakened creatures so far, besides the Imperial Lion, this is definitely the one you don't want to face alone. The problem is these won't ever be alone and they work together like it's in their DNA, because it is. While Imperial Lions serve as guards to Imperial Knights, getting the latest tech and weapons, Imperial Tigers are not far in terms of lethality. Weighing in at several tons, they combine the intelligence of a human with the instincts of one of the old Earth's greatest predators. Their only drawback is they need to consume over 100 pounds of meat per day. They can use light deflection tech to go invisible, they can use powerful pulse guns, they can stalk you like they have instincts honed over thousands of years, and they're incredibly quick. This is not a threat to be taken lightly, and they represent the pinnacle of awakened danger. So we've seen biological threats, but what about mechanical? Well, there are a lot of those too. The first being Crown androids, the helper droids of the Crown Dominion. With advanced technology, these are a much bigger threat than androids created by human hands. In fact, to even hack these, you need a 21 intelligence check. They can output decent damage if needed, and can take quite a bit of punishment given their light materials. A lot more than diplomacy androids, who are designed as pieces of art to communicate between Celestials and humans. You won't find much, if any, resistance at all with these. They're much more frail than even a human NPC. Security androids crafted by human hands can serve many purposes, but in combat, don't expect much more than the average human soldier. It's not hard to hack them, and they can be taken down just as easily. During the Remnant Wars, celestial civilizations deployed trillions of ghosts, constructs of different makes and builds, to act as soldiers and guardians. Till this day, many remain, built with advanced technology and corrosive-resistant materials. They can be found still guarding areas they were assigned to. Ghosts aren't fully sentient or self-aware, but they do have personalities and behave like intelligent soldiers in combat. They follow simple orders and answer simple questions, and in personal combat they are quite formidable. Ghost blades are exactly what you think they are, ghosts with big blades, and they employ them with deadly speed, potentially outputting just as much damage as the biggest enemies around. They can be hacked and aren't extremely durable. Ghost creepers are heavier than your regular ghost and carry a large gun on their back. If allowed to deploy into turret mode, they will reap havoc on you from afar. Extremely deadly but easy to take down, so get in there quick and stop them before it's too late. Ghost Moors are heavily armored and equipped. Slow, but that's fine since they're tasked to guard the most important areas. They're hard to hack, hard to damage, and can fire off auto cannons, X-ray attacks, and plasma blasts. Extremely deadly and likely the ghost you'll want to face the least in combat, besides the Titan, which are of course the biggest of all the ghosts. Originally designed to serve as an armored troop transport, so they absorb damage like a tank. This is reflected with their extremely high health pool and armor rating, more tanky than even Imperial Knights. If it wasn't for the need to get into melee range and their slow speed, they would be outputting more damage than the Knights as well. Thankfully, a smart traveler can simply run away. That is, of course, unless they're vacuumed into the Titan's body and dissolved from the inside. This is a boss level threat, and I don't see many being able to survive without some high level help. While Maws are defensive in nature, the Revenants are built to be aggressive, less armored but more numerous and a fair bit quicker. Speaking of quick, Ghost Scouts are exactly what you'd expect. The lightweight and quick constructs intended for information gathering, intel, and first strikes. This may be why they employ cold sprays to slow their targets and soften them up for other ghosts. They can also curl up into a ball and launch themselves. They're extremely lightly armored for a construct and therefore very easy to take down. Out of all the ghost varieties, these will be one you fear the least, but the presence of a Ghost Scout most likely means more danger ahead. Ghost Sentries are the most common variety of ghosts, stronger than your scouts but not as durable or dangerous as Maws or Revenants. They won't be hard to hack or bring down if you're a talented soldier. Speaking of soldiers, these are the Ghost Soldiers. You'd think they'd be tougher than the Sentries, though that doesn't seem to be the case. These are mass-produced combat constructs and are only barely above scouts in survivability and damage output. It's likely you'll have to fight a lot of these at once, but as you can see, even these travelers are having difficulty with them, so be cautious. Ghost Spectres don't look deadly on paper, but then you realize these are snipers with cold, calculating efficiency. If you don't go out of your way to disable them first, they can and will disable you. They can snipe at extremely long ranges for incredible damage. Your only hope is to get in close or hack these before it's too late. Ghosts are ancient machines left over from a large-scale war. Ascendancy drones are new models, and although they aren't any more powerful than the advanced ghosts, they are more elegant and arguably more beautiful. Most importantly, they follow celestial orders rather than the orders from long-lost civilizations. They can be found accompanying Imperial Knights as well. Similar to a Ghost Warrior, these numerous automated Ascendancy drone soldiers are not difficult to take down or hack, at least when compared to more advanced models. They still far outclass any normal human soldier though. The Ascendancy Mantis is a huge flying construct that's quick, airborne, and surprisingly tough to bring down. They're extremely difficult to hack and can fire off triple railgun cannons or launch smash attacks. They can even fire their limited annihilation cannon. This is a mini-boss or boss level threat with the sheer damage output and difficulty to bring down. The Ascendancy Predator is like a slightly upgraded drone soldier with an extremely long-range sniper-like strike. Just like the Ghost Spectre, you're going to want to take these out quickly before they take you out. If the Predator was a slightly upgraded drone soldier, the Ascendancy Sentinel is a highly upgraded soldier. Harder to kill, harder to hack, and able to put out far more damage, especially with their powerful but slow to recharge beam attack. Thankfully, these won't be as numerous. There are tons of both non-aggressive and aggressive fauna in Exodus. The non-aggressive varieties come in all shapes and sizes, as you can see. There'll be interesting things to see and interact with throughout the game. However, the dangerous fauna is what you'd be interested in studying, as it could mean the difference between life and death. The first being crawlers. Think dune-sized sandworms. These gargantuan beasts are hard to bring down, extremely quick, and can attack by hooking, biting, and ultimately devouring their prey. This will be a mini-boss level threat at the very least, similar to Mass Effect's Thresher Maws. Giant Hedrons are giant sticky blocks that can and will absorb you into them to be digested. They're resistant or immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, meaning it's very difficult to take these down. The advantage you have is that they're slow, so attack them from range with weapons that are non-physical based, like plasma weapons, otherwise you'll find these impossible to take down. Mimic swarms are biologically engineered creations evolved from modified bug libraries and transformed into living weapon systems. Used for covert operations and assassinations, these swarms are capable of changing their appearance, hence the name. So be wary. Everything you see could actually be a mimic swarm, ready to pounce, sting, and engulf you. A dangerous threat, but once seen and understood, can be taken down by a coordinated team. Alone though, you may have trouble. Finally, we have the most obvious and boring type of enemy you'll face, other humans. Even augmented thugs like these will be little trouble for a seasoned traveler. What you need to watch out for are the humans with more advanced tech, like those with large mech suits, like the cataphracts. They are very durable, able to give some lesser ghost trouble. They're still quick and can output some decent damage. Your basic civilian though has an ice cream's chance in hell of surviving the threats that live outside their home. All varieties of humans have different weapons and armor, but are functionally similar in threat levels. Silicate eggs are like ordinary rocks to celestials, though once a human touches them, a bond happens and transforms the human into a daemon. Daemons have almost impervious skin and vastly increased power. They also don't need to use tech or weapons, as they are a living weapon and therefore are quite naturally dangerous. Their lore and their character sheets don't quite match up because they're said to be stronger than their stats suggest. This may be because they're functionally allies in most cases, so it's more likely these will be your companions or allies depending on particular choices and circumstances rather than your enemies. So that's all the potential enemies we know about, and this is the final tier list. What do you think? Does this look right to you? Let me know below. Do you expect to face all these enemies in the game? Do you even want to? I know I do. I will be covering absolutely everything Exodus, including even going to the Game Awards and talking to the devs firsthand, so if you are interested at all, this is the place to be. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, ciao friends.